Tell your version.
I'm walking down the street in New York City.
You won't believe how quickly everything unraveled. For years, Nicole Kidman stood beside one of Hollywood's biggest stars, dressed in dazzling gowns, flashing that serene smile. From the outside, she seemed to have it all: love, fame, the perfect life. But behind the scenes, everything was quietly falling apart. She didn't cry in interviews. She didn't write a tell-all book. She just vanished. Now, after 2 decades of silence, Nicole is finally telling the truth. And it's not the story we expected. It's deeper, more painful, and more powerful than anything the tabloids ever guessed. Before the Oscars, before the red carpets, Nicole Kidman was just a shy kid growing up in Sydney, Australia. Born in Hawaii in 1967 while her dad studied in the US, she moved back to Australia at age 3. Her home was filled with books, empathy, and deep conversations. Her father was a clinical psychologist, her mother a nurse. But even with that foundation, Nicole didn't feel like she fit in. She was painfully shy, struggled with a stutter, and often retreated into herself. The world felt too loud, until she found the stage. She started ballet at age 3, and suddenly, movement became her voice. Acting followed, and by her teens, Nicole was already landing roles in Australian films. By 16, she made the bold decision to leave school and pursue acting full-time. Her parents backed her, even though Hollywood felt galaxies away. She landed a breakout role in Dead Calm, and before long, LA came calling. Then came Days of Thunder, and Tom Cruise. Nicole was just 23 when she met him. Young, naive, completely swept off her feet. Tom wasn't just a superstar, he was the superstar. And overnight, Nicole went from rising talent to the most talked about woman in Hollywood. Their relationship looked magical from the outside, but inside, something very different was happening. At first, it was the fairy tale she imagined, but slowly, things shifted. Nicole began losing her voice, not just metaphorically. In her own words, "I loved him, but I forgot who I was." She wasn't choosing her life anymore. Someone else was. They tried to build a family. After 2 heartbreaking miscarriages, they adopted 2 children, Isabella and Connor. Nicole poured her soul into being a mom, hoping it would bring them closer. She brought the kids to set, read bedtime stories in trailers, told herself this was what love looked like, sacrificing everything to hold the pieces together. But love like that, without balance, is a slow burnout. Then came the moment that broke her. Tom filed for divorce, abruptly, without warning. Nicole was stunned. She'd seen the cracks, but never imagined he'd walk away so suddenly. What crushed her more was what came after. Both children stayed with their father. They chose to live with Tom and follow Scientology, something Nicole never embraced. It wasn't a bitter split, but it was a quiet, aching distance. She once said, "That was their choice. I respect it." But the pain behind those words, impossible to ignore. Nicole didn't just lose a marriage. She lost her sense of home, her family. Still, she didn't lash out. She didn't go public with her heartbreak. She simply disappeared, for a while. Then, unexpectedly, love found her again. Keith Urban. He wasn't the perfect fairy tale. He was a man with his own scars. And maybe that's what made it work. They didn't try to build a fantasy. They built something real, something healing. Just months after their wedding, Keith checked himself into rehab. Nicole stayed. She supported him. She knew what it meant to be broken and to need someone to stay. But behind their private joy, another storm raged. Nicole's desperate hope to become a mother again. She underwent years of fertility treatments, hormonal injections, miscarriages, silent nights filled with tears. And then, finally, a miracle. Sunday Rose, born in 2008. A few years later, another daughter, Faith Margaret, was born via surrogate. Nicole once said, "It doesn't matter how they come into your life, whether adopted, born to you, or carried by another woman. They're your children. You love them the same." But even joy came with fear. After Sunday's birth, Nicole panicked. Her body couldn't produce milk. She sobbed for hours, terrified she was already failing her child. That's the side of motherhood we rarely see. The raw, unsure moments that don't make headlines. And then came loss. In 2014, her father, her biggest supporter, died suddenly while on a trip. She was crushed. Nearly a decade later, in 2023, she lost her mother too. Nicole said, "I feel empty. There's no one left to call home." It was like the last anchors of her childhood were suddenly gone. Through all this, Nicole kept creating. Films like Rabbit Hole, Lion, Big Little Lies, and Being the Ricardos weren't just acting jobs, they were emotional lifelines. She poured her heart into those roles, often reliving her deepest wounds to bring truth to the screen. Her performance as an adoptive mother in Lion, she said it was the hardest role of her life. "Every scene opened something in me that I'd tried to keep closed." You could see it in her eyes. That wasn't acting. That was real. And she didn't stop at acting. Through her production company, she championed women directors. Not just in name, she promised to work with at least one every 18 months. And she's done even more than that. She's made space for other women in an industry that often shuts them out. She's also served as a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador, raising millions for women's health, education, and empowerment. "We can choose silence," she said once, "but I choose not to." And the world took notice. In 2024, she received the AFI Lifetime Achievement Award, the first Australian ever honored that way. At the 2025 Cannes Festival, she was recognized again for her tireless work in and beyond cinema. Today, Nicole's life is quieter, not smaller, just deeper. She spends her time with Keith, with their daughters, and in the quiet corners of home. She still speaks of Isabella and Connor with love and respect. She hopes that one day, even if they don't return physically, the thread that connects them will never fully break. At 56, she no longer chases the spotlight. She chases meaning. In a recent interview, she said, "I feel most fulfilled when I can love without needing to be loved back, when I can give without expecting anything in return." And maybe, just maybe, that's what makes her unforgettable. Nicole Kidman isn't just a star. She's a survivor, an artist, a mother, a woman who walked through fire and never lost her grace. If she's ever moved you, made you feel something, or helped you see yourself a little more clearly through a role, drop a comment, share your story. Because some people give their whole hearts to the world and never ask for anything back, and those are the ones worth celebrating. Thanks for watching. If you felt something, hit that like, tap subscribe, and stick around for more stories that don't just entertain, but connect. Because in the end, it's not the fame that defines a legacy. It's the love we leave behind.